granulomatous formation, granulomatous inflammation. So first of all, every student must know about the granuloma. So because directly starting this topic, you guys have to first understand the basic definition of granuloma. So first of all, the first point that is granulomatous inflammation. It is a subtype of chronic inflammation. Like in the acute inflammation, you usually will not get this granuloma. It is a subtype of chronic inflammation. That point is very important. Then after that, they can ask a question from you, like how to characterize, how to, you can say, recognize or characterize the granuloma. Like what are the cells that are going to make granuloma? So basically, granuloma is made up of different things. First one is the epithelioid histiocyte. What are epithelioid histiocyte? Basically, these are the macrophages with abundant pink cytoplasm. Those are called epithelioid histiocyte. Then after that, these epithelioid histiocytes are surrounded by joint cell. Let's suppose take in the center we have epithelioid histiocyte, and on the side of epithelioid histiocyte we have the joint cell. We have the joint cell. Then after there, these histiocytes are surrounded by joint cell, and on the side of these joint cell we have also the lymphocytes. So basically this is the structure of granuloma. Granuloma, you can say the three important things are going to involve in the granuloma. First one, epithelioid histiocyte. Second one is the joint cell. Then third one are the lymphocyte. So please keep this thing in mind. Then after that, you guys have to remember the granuloma is divided into two main types. One is the you can say one is the caseating granuloma, and second one is the non-caseating granuloma. So these are very important point. So let's take a quick review from the first state. Then after that, the important things we will also discuss in the last. First of all, granulomatous inflammation. It is a pattern of chronic inflammation. It is a subtype of chronic inflammation, and it can be induced by persistent T cell response to certain infection like TB, like you have immune mediated disease, foreign body. So what is the meaning of these lines? So first of all, you guys have to remember it is a subtype of chronic inflammation, and if in your body chronic inflammation is going to persist for many months, year, then these infections will lead to the formation of granuloma. Like if you have the tuberculosis infection, if you have immune mediated disease, like you have many autoimmune diseases which can lead to formation of granuloma. Then if in your body you have foreign body, the foreign body can cause chronic inflammation that can lead to granuloma. Then he say granuloma wall of a resistant stimulus without completely eradicating or degrading it. What is the you can say meaning of this line? So let's suppose this is the bacteria, and around the bacteria you are, because bacteria is going to produce infection or inflammation. So after, when the inflammation is going to start, this bacteria is surrounded by wall of by granuloma, and this granuloma will not like eradicate or degrade the bacteria. It only cover it, and it only cover it. Why? Because it try to inhibit the bacterial invasion. It will not allow the bacteria to invade. So this is the basic you can say function of granuloma. Then after that, it is the persistent inflammation that usually lead to the formation of granuloma, and if the inflammation is persistent, that will lead to fibrosis and organ damage. So here they only mention the important points. First of all, you guys have to remember granuloma is a subtype of chronic inflammation. Then what is granuloma? Basically it is a, you can say, the composition of three things: epithelioid histiocyte, on the side of that we have joint cell, on the side of that we have lymphocyte. So these are the three things which will make the granuloma. Then after that, you guys have to remember how the granuloma is going to form. So basically we will study the mechanism of granuloma, but just remember one thing. Granuloma, basically it is a persistent, you can say it is a result of persistent infection. Like in your body, if you have TB, if you have autoimmune disease, if you have foreign body, these are the things which will lead to you can say persistent inflammation, and after the persistent inflammation you will get chronic inflammation, and that will lead to the formation of granuloma. Then granuloma basically you can say surround the bacteria. It will not allow the bacteria to invade, it will not allow the bacteria to spread. So basically this is the main, you can say, the function of granuloma. Then after that, if we study the histology of granuloma, basically we have to remember it is a focus epithelioid cell. Like, what are epithelioid cell? These are the activated macrophages with abundant pink cytoplasm, and these are the epithelioid histiocyte or epithelioid cell which are surrounded by lymphocyte and multinucleated giant cell. And they can ask from you in exam, what are joint cell? So basically, when a lot of activated macrophages are going to combine with each other, it will lead to the formation of joint cell. So please keep this in mind. So again, let's take a quick review. In the center you have epithelioid cells are epithelioid histiocyte. On the side of that you have lymphocyte. On the side of that you also have the joint cell. So basically, through which the joint cell form, when the macrophage are activated macrophages are going to combine with each other. When the activated macrophages are combined with each other, that will lead to the formation of joint cell. Then after that, we have divided the granuloma into two main types according to histology. One is caseating and other is non-caseating. So caseating means there is a central necrosis and it is usually seen in the infections of TB and fungal. And non-caseating means there is no central necrosis and it is usually seen in non-infectious etiologies like sarcoidosis. We have the Crohn disease. So these are the, you can say, the important mechanisms through which the non-caseating inflammation is non-caseating granuloma is going to be formed in your body. So, okay, so now let's discuss how the granuloma is going to be formed in your body. So here we are going to discuss the mechanism of granuloma formation, or you can simply say what are the steps that are going to be involved in granuloma formation. So first of all, you guys have to remember the antigen presenting cells which are present in our body. They are going to present antigens to CD4 T helper cell, and when the antigen presenting cell are going to present the antigen to CD4 positive T helper cell, these cells will secrete the interleukin 12, and this interleukin 12 will go and stimulate the CD4 positive T helper cell into T helper 1 cell. So let's take a quick review. First of all, these are the antigen presenting cell. Antigen presenting cells are going to present the antigen to CD4 plus T helper cell. So when the antigen presenting cell present the antigen to CD4 plus T helper cell, this CD4 T helper cell is going to produce interleukin 12, and this interleukin 12 will go back and stimulate the CD4 T helper 1 cell to form the, you can say, T helper 1 cell. And when this T helper 1 cell will form, it will secrete the interferon, or you can say gamma interferon, and this gamma interferon will go and lead to the macrophages activation. And when the macrophage are activated, they will secrete the cytokine like tumor necrotic factor, and this tumor necrotic factor will go and lead to the formation of epithelioid macrophages and giant cell. So please keep this in mind. So let's take a quick review again. First of all, you guys have to understand the first cells which are going to participate. These are antigen presenting cell. Antigen presenting cell will take the antigen and present to CD4 plus T helper cell. When the antigen presenting cell present the antigen to CD4 plus T helper cell, these CD4 plus T helper cell are going to secrete interleukin 12. This interleukin 12 will go back and stimulate this CD4 plus T helper cell into T helper 1 cell. When this T helper 1 cell will produce, it will produce the gamma interferon, and this gamma interferon will go and activate the macrophage, and when the macrophage are activated, they will produce the cytokine like tumor necrotic factor, and this tumor necrotic factor will go and activate the macrophages, and they convert the macrophage into epithelioid and joint cell. Then after that, they have mentioned here anti-tumor necrotic factor therapy can cause sequestering granuloma to break down and it lead to disseminated disease. So let's take a clear concept from this example. As I already told you guys, tumor necrotic factor is very important for granuloma formation, because when the tumor necrotic factor is produced, it will go and convert the macrophages into joint cell, into epithelioid cell. So let's suppose if you give a drug which is going to inhibit this tumor necrotic factor. So when this drug will go in your body, it will inhibit the tumor necrotic factor. Then if the tumor necrotic factor is not formed in your body, the granuloma is not going to form, because granuloma is made up of epithelioid cell, joint cell, and if you give the anti-tumor necrotic factor drug, this drug will go and sequester the granuloma to break down. The granuloma is not going to form. Then after that, if the granuloma is not going to form, the bacteria has good chance to proliferate. The bacteria will cause the disseminated disease. So that's why they always mention one thing, whenever you are going to start anti-tumor necrotic factor drug, you have to first check the patient for latent TB, because in the latent TB, granuloma is you can say preventing the bacteria to spread. So if you give the anti-tumor necrotic factor drug, the latent TB will convert into the active TB, you can say. Then after that, they mention here, like when you get the granuloma, the granuloma is associated with the hypercalcemia. This is very very important MCQs. How the granuloma is associated with hypercalcemia? Basically, when you get a granuloma, in case of granuloma, there is a one enzyme which is called alpha 1 hydroxylase. This is the enzyme which is present in the macrophages. And you know, if the granuloma is going to form, there are a lot of macrophages, and if there are a lot of macrophages, you have alpha 1 hydroxylase activity more. So if the alpha 1 hydroxylase activity is more, that will lead to the activation of vitamin D, and if you have more vitamin D, it will lead to the more calcium absorption, it will lead to hypercalcemia. So this is the very very important MCQs for your exam. Now let's take a quick review of this diagram. So first of all, this is the antigen presenting cell. What is the function of antigen presenting cell? Basically, it is going to take the antigen and going to present to other cell. That's why it is called antigen presenting cell. So here is the antigen. This antigen is going to be taken by the antigen presenting cell. After the antigen presenting cell pick this antigen, it will go to the, you can say, CD4 T helper cell. So this is the CD4 T helper cell. So when the antigen presenting cell is combined with the, you can say, the T cell, it will secrete the interleukin 12, and this interleukin 12 is going to, you can say, induce the CD4 T helper cell into T helper 1. So please keep this in mind. When the antigen presenting cell will combine with T cell, the antigen presenting cell is going to secrete the interleukin 12. I think in previous I mentioned interleukin 12 is going to produce from T helper cell. So please correct it. The interleukin 12 is going to produce from antigen presenting cell. This interleukin 12 will go and stimulate the CD4 T helper cell into T helper 1 cell. So this is the T helper 1 cell, and this T helper 1 cell will secrete the gamma interferon. This gamma interferon will go and activate the macrophages. When the macrophages are activated, they will secrete the tumor necrotic factor, and when you have more tumor necrotic factor, your macrophages will become activated, and when your macrophages will become activated, you will get a granuloma. So this is very very important. Let's take a quick review again, because I know I am repeating these things, but these are very very important for your exam. A lot of students get question from this topic wrong, because they don't understand the formation mechanism of granuloma. So let's take another quick review to understand this topic of granuloma. So let's suppose I am going to again explain with the diagram. First of all, you have antigen presenting cell. This is the antigen presenting cell, which is going to take the antigen and presenting to other cell. And when the antigen presenting cell take the antigen, they present this antigen to CD4 T helper cell. So this is the CD4 T helper cell. And when the antigen presenting cell will bind with T cell, the antigen presenting cell will secrete the interleukin 12. This interleukin 12 will go and convert the CD4 helper T cell into T helper 1 cell. And this T helper 1 cell will again form gamma interferon. This gamma interferon will go and activate the macrophage. When the macrophage are activated, they will secrete the tumor necrotic factor. And when the tumor necrotic factor will form, it will lead to the formation of granuloma. So this is very very important point. Then after that, we have here the examples of infectious and non-infectious causes of granuloma formation. So first of all, we have the infectious causes, like if you have the infection of Mycobacterium tuberculosis or Mycobacterium leprosy, you will get the granuloma. Then after that, if you have the Bartonella Hunsleigh, which causes the cat's cry disease, it lead to formation of stellate necrotizing granuloma. Then after that, if you have Listeria monocytogenes infection, that lead to granulomatosis infantisimia, infant septica. Basically, this is also the infection which is going to be caused by Listeria monocytogenes. Then after that, if you have Treponema pallidum, secondary syphilis. So basically, all these are the infectious causes of granuloma formation. So these are the bacterial causes. Then we have fungal causes, like if you have the histoplasmosis infection, which causes the endemic mycosis. Mycosis basically it is a fungal infection. If you have cystomyosis, it is a parasitic infection. So these are the important points you guys have to remember. These are the infectious causes: bacterial, fungal, parasitic. Then you guys have to remember catalase positive organisms in granulomatous can cause granulomatous chronic diseases like chronic granulomatous disease. So this is very important point. Catalase positive organisms in chronic granulomatous diseases, they are going to form the granuloma. Then after that we have the non-infectious causes. So basically in the non-infectious causes we have the three main categories. One is the immune mediated, second one is the vessel inflammation, that is called blood vasculitis, blood vessel vasculitis. Then after that we have foreign bodies. So in the immune mediated we have sarcoidosis, and we have Crohn disease, we have primary biliary cholangitis, we have D. Carvan granulomatous thyroiditis. Basically it is the, you can say, condition in which you will get the hypothyroidism. It is a type of, it causes the hypothyroidism. Then after that we have vasculitis. Basically vasculitis meaning inflammation of vessel. So in granulomatosis with polyangiitis, eosinophilic granulomatosis with polyangiitis, giant cell temporal arteritis, Takayasu arteritis, in all these conditions your blood vessel is going to be inflamed. And when your blood vessel is going to be inflamed, you will get the granuloma, and that granuloma is usually because of vasculitis. Then after that we have foreign bodies. In the foreign body you can take the example of berylliosis, you can take the example of talcosis, you can take the example of hypersensitivity pneumonitis. So these are the important examples in which you get the granuloma by non-infectious cause. So this is the topic of granuloma formation. So let's take a quick review of again of this topic. What is granuloma? Granuloma is characterized by the, you can say, collection of epithelioid histiocyte. It is characterized by the joint cell. It is characterized by the lymphocyte. So these are the three things which will make the granuloma. Then again it is a type of chronic inflammation. Then it is divided into two main types, caseating and non-caseating. So basically non-caseating has no central necrosis, and the causes include you can say like the immune mediated, vasculitis and foreign bodies. Then we have caseating. In the caseating we have the central necrosis, and in the central necrosis we have the different causes like bacterial causes, fungal causes, parasitic causes and catalase positive organisms. So these are the, you can say, examples of caseating granulomatosis, caseating granuloma. Then after that you guys have to remember very important, what are the steps that are going to involve in granuloma formation, because in the exam they are going to ask these steps. You guys have to remember these steps. So this is about the granuloma formation.